Busy and yet so clean. You should be respected all over the world for that.
I think we tend to take that for granted. That
Whatever you're doing the right thing.
yeah, it's not us personally. I mean, we're muckrakers here. At the club, we rake the muck, but we don't actually clean the city itself. So,
Well, somebody's doing it.
Okay. So you're, I think of you as a pop singer or a jazz singer. How would you describe yourself, first and foremost?
I'm an entertainer.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
But isn't jazz your first love?
it is. Yeah, I'm blessed with it's something, jazz is funny. It's the one thing that you can't go to a school and learn. You could study music, you could study all kinds of mathematics about it, but jazz is the art of spontaneity and improvisation. The moment is the most important thing, the very moment. And it's something that either you have it or you haven't got it to do it properly. You can't go to a college to learn it. It's either you have this gift, and it's an art form, very spontaneous and very honest. When any artist performs it, they're giving their all to anybody who cares to listen to it.
I'm going to ask you a housekeeping question here. Forgive my ignorance. Do you want to have your remarks interpreted into Japanese? No? Just the questions? Okay, fine. Because I think everybody here is pretty conversant with English. We don't want to interrupt the flow. So I understand that, notwithstanding, you're from the jazz tradition, but you do bel canto vocal exercises every morning, which is from the classical tradition. Am I wrong?
Well, you have to understand that I'm an Italian American, and from Italy invented an orchestra. They were the first ones to put a group of people together and have them play together. They also invented the piano. They also invented the violin. They pretty phenomenal history of geniuses. That 50 geniuses came out of Italy, and when they reigned for 220 years, they civilized all of Europe. And so that's why I'm impressed with orchestras and with, they invented opera, they invented bel canto. And bel canto is a way, I do it intimately. I don't sing like an opera singer, but I sing in tune, and I sing very intimately, but I do the bel canto training performance before I perform, and it keeps my voice in shape. And people are saying that I'm 87 years old, but I sound like I did when I was 50. Well, that's because I did my homework and I do the bel canto.
Every morning?
Not every morning.
Not every morning?
No, not every
Okay.
morning, just when I perform.
Okay.
And it takes about 15 or 20 minutes to warm up with that. No big deal.
Wow. That's so you've got your pipes still at this stage.
I hope
yeah?
so.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep, all right.
You gonna maybe give us a tune at some point?
No,
No.
you have to pay me. You have
Yep.
to pay me.
Yeah. We're going to be passing the hat later on, folks. Okay. You should come to the show on Saturday. You know, that's probably
Thank
the best idea. Now, in the introduction to this event, we wrote in the notice that Frank Sinatra, and you've heard this a million times, I'm sure, described you as the best singer in the business.
But what did he know?
I don't know. What you tell me. Who would you describe if you were asked, as the best singer in the business?
Well, in jazz, I would say Billie Holiday was absolutely the best singer that ever lived. Any recording of hers is beautiful. And it's not digital, it's not multi-track, it's strictly monaural. But boy, it's timeless. You listen to it in fact, recently they had an advertisement on television of some famous jewelry from Tiffany's. And of all things, they used a Billie Holiday record to promote the jewelry that they were selling. So she was exquisite.
Did you ever meet her?
I did, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And I think you were telling me beforehand she invited you to go to Harlem, correct?
Right.
But you didn't go.
What does that mean?
You didn't go to Harlem. She invited you to go to Harlem.
No, what happened, I was
What happened?
I was with a group of people. You know, things are improving slowly in the United States. The bigotry, they said to me, don't go up to Harlem. You were told not to trust them. And it was one of the tragic moments in my life because I had been offered to have a jam session with Billie Holiday, and I refused to go up to Harlem. And to this day, I regret that I didn't do it. Of course, it's a lot different now. Harlem is flourishing, and people are moving into Harlem, and it's become the new Greenwich Village in New York City. It's a phenomenal occurrence that's happening right now. All of a sudden, Harlem is waking up, and beautiful homes are being rebuilt there, and everybody's moving up to Harlem.
Really? So, well, she was a classic. I mean, she
was the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you said Louis Armstrong, you told me earlier on, had a somewhat different opinion about female vocalists.
In which way?
Well, you said that he rated another jazz vocalist higher. Yeah?
They asked Louis Armstrong, they said, who's your favorite female vocalist? And he said, after Ella. That was his answer. He's a very humorous guy.
Yeah, here's a question for you. We're going to throw this open to you folks a little while, but I've got a bunch of questions, obviously, I'd like to ask. We're talking about singers, but what about songwriters? Who do you rate the highest?
Well, Cole Porter would be the best. He was the most excellent. But it was a Renaissance period in America, very similar to the turn of the century of improvisation of Monet and Van Gogh and Debussy and Tchaikovsky, and it was a beautiful impressionistic era. But in my country, the 20s, 30s, and 40s was a Renaissance period of the greatest. It was the beginning of talkies with film and Broadway, and mostly Fred Astaire was encouraged to record the most magnificent songs written by George Gershwin, Irving Berlin, Cole Porter, Jerome Kern, and it was a Renaissance period that I don't think will ever happen again, but it's a part of history in the United States. Of the best music, the whole world has been given the most beautiful songs that never die, never become old-fashioned, never sound old-fashioned. They still sound brand new. and they always will sound brand new.
Just a moment, I'd like to tell everybody that no more photography will be allowed. That's it. So put down your cameras. Thank you.
Why?
Because the boss says no more photographs. I mean, yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's out of our hands.
I didn't know the boss was here.
The boss is always here, lurking, but keeping an eye on us. So.
I always thought God was the boss.
Well, you seconded this responsibility to Ms. Chung today, so
I see.
Yeah, so
okay.
we just have to go along with that.
Okay.
Here's a question for you, and then I'm going to throw it open to the audience here. When I speak to American musicians, quite often something I hear is that they lament the lack of music education in the schools these days. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, funny enough, my wife and I started a school called the Frank Sinatra School in my hometown, Astoria, which is 20 minutes from Manhattan. But from that, we now have 17 schools of public schools where we promote the arts, performing arts in 17 schools. But eventually, we're hoping to go to every public school in the United States and have programs of art form, art programs for every student in the United States.
So not just music.
No, it's all of the performing arts.
Okay, that's great. And your latest album, I should mention this, is classics, songs that you have chosen.
Introduced.
You introduced, okay. Oh, I see. All right, so they're by other artists or by you? Forgive my ignorance.
What?
The classics comprises tunes that you've recorded over the course of your career.
There were songs that I've made famous through the years.
Okay. Was that a difficult thing to do, to sift through that big legacy?
Well, it took time, and of course, there was a big change where they put the accent on the youth, where the youth was going to just buy records. And I still, to this day, I think it was a very incorrect move by corporations to just think that they could make the most money by having children buy the records instead of the whole family. Way before that, there was a great singer by the name of Bing Crosby, and he sang to the whole family, and to this day sold more records than anybody that's ever recorded.
The market changed, right? You had a teenage demographic.
Well, it's still changed. That's why a lot of record companies are going bankrupt.
True, true.
And you play to the whole family. Why should you just play to one group? It's not a big enough group. If you're a businessman, you should. It's just logical to play to everybody instead of just one group.
Well, especially now that we're in the graying society, there's an older demographic that needs to be catered to. Old people like music.
No, you don't have to do that.
No?
You should just play to people. If something is good, people are going to buy it.
Okay. And recently, in the last 10 years or so, you recorded 2 albums of duets with various singers.
Right.
What was the most memorable experience in recording those albums?
It was the Lady Gaga. She did The Lady is a Tramp with me, and it became a very big hit record. And Amy Winehouse in London, great, great jazz singer.
Wow. Well, I think we're going to open it up to the rest of you, to you folks. So, as is our custom here, working press first. And if you are a member of the working press, please stand up and give your name and affiliation. So, Haruko Watanabe, please give her a microphone.
Haruko Watanabe, HKW Media Report to Women. I'd rather like to ask you a question or the confirmation because we organized a group tour and I just booked a block of seat at Tokyo Forum on Saturday, just to listen to your I Left My Heart in San Francisco. And I tell everybody in my advertisement of this event, he's going to sing his signature song. But are you going to sing that song for sure? Would you please promise to all the audience? Because they will come to Tokyo Forum and pay with ticket.
Well, if you come on Saturday, yes. I will sing it. You know, you have to pay me to sing it here.
Yes. Yes.
I'm in show business. You know, it's a business.
Yeah, we bought ticket already. SS ticket.
When I come home to you, San Francisco, your golden sun will shine for me. Thank you. By the way, I'm very impressed with the amount of people that are here this afternoon. Yeah. I'm very honored. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
Great. Money matters. Well, my second question is, I admired, many top female and male journalists join you in duet. Why? Because they think you are mentor to them, or you are just attracting them with your artistic talent?
My son is my manager, and he's pretty clever. He came up with this idea. Yeah. So everybody is concentrated on the young. And he said, let's make an album with all the young artists. Mm-hmm. And we sold millions of records, and I said, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, she's very persuasive. She's very persuasive. She got you to sing. I mean, you said you...
She did a good job.
She's good. She's good. All right, that's it, folks. I don't think... okay, who's next? Come on. This young man over there.
Afternoon, William Sposato from the Wall Street Journal. Ever since the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant disaster in 2011, there have been concerns among famous people about coming to Japan. Some right after the accident refused to come. Others have sort of stayed away, and there have been new worries lately with Japan now trying to host the Olympics. Did this cross your mind at all? Were you in any way concerned about coming here? And also, I'd like to hear more about your thoughts about Japan in general.
I'm very different, and in this sense that I'm against all wars. I think it's terribly old-fashioned in the history of the world. It's just so ignorant that people should not realize that life is a gift, and we should all enjoy the fact that we're just alive. And there's the contribution that the Japanese have given to art and beauty, and it's such a delicate art form that it should be admired all over the world. And we should stop questioning nations and saying these people are wrong and these people are right. And it's so old-fashioned at this point. War is legalized murder, and it should be eliminated. But it's far out. The first question I usually get in conversation intimately, they just say, well, that's old-fashioned. You can't. There's always going to be wars. Well, to think that way is so negative and so unintelligent. We have to believe that if we're born on this planet, what a gift it is just to study nature and realize the beauty of being alive. There's so much to it that we should never stop thinking that, why should we live? We should always say, why shouldn't we live as best we can? That's what I believe.
So you weren't reluctant to come here because after the nuclear disaster, well, Fukushima, that's gotten Japan a lot of bad press recently?
No, I'm impressed with what I see. I could tell you right now, it's the most magnificent city, and this is just Tokyo. I'd imagine in the countrysides of Japan, it must be absolutely beautiful. And I think the whole world could learn from the Japanese how to live neatly and with such precision. And I'm very impressed. I'm absolutely impressed. All the countries of the world should learn about how to keep their cities clean. And Tokyo is very impressive to me.
Right, next question, please. I cannot believe this. We got all of the shy people in Tokyo in one room. There's a man who's going to break the trend. Okay.
My name is Taka Sakurai. I'm from the jazz magazine named Jazz Japan. Used to be the name Swing Journal. I heard that you're gonna make whole album with Lady Gaga. Is it true or not?
I did this in the end of this year, in January of next year, we will release the album, and it's a very sensational jazz album with great jazz artists on it. It came out wonderful, and I consider Lady Gaga the most. She is the Picasso of the entertainment world. She is. You will find out. She's very, very intelligent, and she's very right, and she's a very, very talented person. And I just love her so much. We're just like brother and sister together, and we will always admire one another and do things together.
So what kind of songs did you record with her?
All great standards, quality songs. All Gershwin, Cole Porter, Jerome Kern, Irving Berlin, songs like that. And see, a big swinging band with great, great jazz artists playing. And it'll come out the beginning of next year.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, that's something to watch out for. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, that's incredible. Next question. Come on. You're all starstruck. Oh, there's a man who's not starstruck. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
You mentioned you came from Astoria.
Right.
How had Astoria influenced your life?
It's still my favorite city. I travel all over the world. And I love growing up there. And it's now amazing because that's where films first started. Many years ago, you had Mae West and W.C. Fields and all the early movie stars, Charlie Chaplin. They all recorded in Astoria. But the weather was so uneven that they got tired of making films there, and they moved to the West Coast where it was a desert and orange groves, and they made all the films there. But now with computers, they're all coming back to Astoria. And now Astoria is going to be Hollywood East. It's going to be United Artists is building $1 billion movie studio there, and Kaufman Studios. There's many. It's the whole section of Astoria will become a great film industry in the east of the United States.
But growing up there, how did it influence your life and your thinking?
I just loved it. You know, they were the people that make Manhattan work. The elevator operators, the stagehands, the doormen, the cab drivers, they all lived in Astoria. And to this day, I just love it. The people there are just real people, and they're all different nationalities, all different religions, and they all live together. And it's still my favorite place in the world. I travel everywhere, and it's my favorite place.
Yeah, it was a little bit before your time, but my aunt went to school with Ethel Merman.
Wow.
PS4.
That's amazing. That's an amazing
Thank you
story.
very much.
Thank you.
Not San Francisco? No, I mean, you have this special relationship, at least in some people's minds, with San Francisco because of the song.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
It's very nice. It's a beautiful, romantic city, and I love it. But I live in Astoria.
Okay.
I love it. Yeah.
I'm sure they've given you the keys to the city of San Francisco.
Oh, they treat me well.
I
there.
bet they do. Right.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
I'd like to encourage members of the Japanese media, 日本のマスコミの方々、ちょっと質問してください. Come on, don't be shy. You can ask your questions in Japanese. There's a gentleman right there. You can sing your questions if you like.
I'm not singing yet.
Oh, well, it's too early.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Duke Ishikawa, long-time member here. 2 questions. Italian American guys like Sinatra or Perry Como, Dino, all fashionable guy. And in your case, which part of your shoes or tie, what is the strongest first point for your fashion? And
For my
Your fashion sense.
Fashion?
Yeah, which item of your apparel is most expressive of your fashion sense?
Well, I only wear Brioni clothes, and it's Italian. So I like Brioni clothes.
okay, I'm a friend of Tiger Woods, and I received an email from him. He asked me, "You play golf or not?" That's his question from Tiger Woods.
I play tennis.
You never play golf?
No, I like to watch it, but I don't.
Oh, I see. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
How often do you play tennis?
As much as I can. I love it. I love watching the games. Federer is my favorite. Even though he lost, he's still my favorite.
Next question. Come along. Well, that's strange. What's the? Okay, I'll ask you a question. You're playing the Kokusai Forum, the International Forum. It's a big hall.
Right.
It's a couple of thousand people at least. I forget. But do you normally play places like that, or do you prefer smaller venues?
I like smaller venues personally because it's good for acoustics. I like something like Carnegie Hall in New York is the best. 1,700 seats. It's not 17,000 seats. It's 1,700 seats, but it helps the music to have an acoustical hall, so that you could sing properly.
What's the biggest venue you've ever played?
I don't remember.
Okay. Yeah. You're not a stadium artist.
I think
Not at all.
There's a gentleman over there who would like to ask a question.
By the way, I agree with you that Carnegie Hall is the best acoustics in the world.
You're right.
But I have a question.
Yes,
For
sir.
aspiring singers, do you believe that aspiring singers should be able to read music? And the reason I'm asking is a personal question, because my daughter was basically told in college that she needed to read music before she could sing at her college.
Is that what they taught? That she wasn't able to sing unless she read?
Well, she wouldn't be eligible to sing in the school chorus unless she read music. But she's been singing for 10 years in a cappella groups and choruses in school.
Well, I think she's at a very good school. It's good. I mean, it's like any art. The more you could learn about it, the better you become. If you learn to read very well, and I'm not a good reader, by the way, unfortunately, I just kind of do it intuitively, but I'm still trying to learn as much as I can about it. And the only trouble with jazz is that if you think academically and read, you won't have the flexibility to phrase differently every night. With reading, this is the exact time that you have to do it. And with jazz, there's a lot of improvisation and unexpected moves. So you just happen to be blessed with a good teacher that will show you the both ways to do it.
But people like Louis Armstrong, he didn't read, did he?
Well, every classical trumpet player in the world wanted to learn how to play the trumpet when they heard Louis Armstrong.
Yeah.
He was an absolute genius, and he practically invented jazz.
Yeah, nobody improvised before him, really. Right?
No, they did. Yeah,
Yeah?
they did. There were
Uh-huh.
others. There were others.
Oh, yeah.
But he just was such a great entertainer that he had a spirit of happiness at all times and humor. And to this day, you could listen to a Louis Armstrong record today, the orchestra will sound old-fashioned. They're reading. But Louis would play in an improvised way, and it still sounds modern. The rest of the band would sound old-fashioned, but not him. He was right on top. His music never sounds dated, the way he sang.
I'm going to start picking people out of the audience that I know and force them to ask questions if you're not careful. Like, come on. There's all these shy people here. They're in awe. Right? Come on, Andrew. See? It works. Good man.
Andrew Bothbury, freelancer. You were mentioning that Louis Armstrong still sounds youthful. So do you find that working with young people or just not interpreting your own way keeps you youthful as well? Do you work with Lady Gaga because it keeps you fresh, for example?
No, when I first started, when I was a young artist, there were a lot of seasoned performers that would resent the fact that I was becoming popular. And they were still nice enough to say, well, you're doing all right, kid, but you know, it's going to take you 7 years to learn how to walk on the stage properly. It'll take 7 years. And they were very correct. But I always felt that they should have been a little nicer to me, you know, so that now that I'm one of the elders, I did these albums with all the different popular artists to teach the world that that they could do it, and they're not restricted and told that they have to wait 7 years before they're famous. There's a lot of new artists that are doing magnificent, you know. Lady Gaga is already the biggest artist that ever came out of the United States, over Elvis Presley and over Madonna and everybody else. She's just unbelievable. The people love her so much, and she loves them right back. And she's a great, great artist. And there's many others that are the new group coming up that I recorded with. They're all very good performers, and they should be encouraged. Thank you.
George Baumgartner, Switzerland's greatest jazz fan. There he is.
Okay.
Hello, thank you very much to be here. You recorded a CD with Bill Evans, the pianist. Bill Evans didn't record many music with vocalists. Can you explain how was your meeting with Bill Evans? How did it happen? And my colleague from the Wall Street Journal earlier asked a question about Fukushima, the nuclear accident. Maybe you didn't understand the question. And maybe with my English, maybe you will understand even less. But can you explain us? You came to Japan this time, despite the fact that Japan experienced a dramatic nuclear accident, and now outside Japan there is a campaign going on to tell people don't give the Olympic Games of 2020 to Tokyo because of the nuclear accident in Fukushima. Fukushima is away of only 200 miles away from Tokyo. What do you think? So there are two questions, one about Bill Evans and one about the questions asked by my colleague. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, Bill Evans was the most, funny enough, I've recorded for so many years with so many different artists. I was the first one to sing with Count Basie's orchestra, the first white man to sing with a black orchestra. But Bill Evans, when we did the album, it was just, when it first came out for about 5 years, no one paid attention to it. It was on a small label. And then all of a sudden, after 5 years, everybody started saying, Tony, the album you did with Bill Evans, it became the most proficient album I've ever made. With Bill Evans' piano is so magnificent, and his accompaniment was so perfect that now, I've made hundreds and hundreds of records, but this one stands out more than any other. People that love music consider it their favorite album. And after all the records I've made, that's the most prestigious album I've ever made. About the other subject, I respect Japan so much for going against any kind of nuclear wars. I think it's the most intelligent move, and every country in the world should stop nuclear wars. We should not just ban it and just forget about it. Nobody should threaten anybody with that much. The earth doesn't deserve it. We should get back to nurturing the earth instead of smashing it to bits. So I admire the Japanese for slowing down on nuclear power. If it's power, it should be used for peaceful purposes only, not for violence and disaster and killing. That's the opposite of sanity. All war is insane. It's legalized murder. And I respect the Japanese for slowing down on nuclear power and for war.
And you saw war at first hand. You were in the service in World War II, right?
Yeah, I was in the infantry, and
yeah.
I did dislike that. It's the lowest form of human behavior.
That's a good description. Back to jazz. Before, when we were talking, you were saying that you felt that jazz deserved more recognition, or it wasn't as popular as it should be. Could you expand on that a little bit? Because I think that's a very interesting theme.
Well, I live in a magnificent country of all different nationalities, and everybody's different from everybody in the world lives in the United States. So unfortunately, there's bigotry. They think that the Africans are below them. You know, it's completely ignorant. Anybody alive deserves to be respected. And I just think that the world is changing for the better. More and more African Americans are being recognized as wholesome and good people. And they're getting more and more, African Americans are getting more and more educated. They're coming up with beautiful things that happen. They invented the art form of jazz, and it's one of the big contributions to the world. The world loves jazz. They love the whole spirit of jazz. And it's just a matter of eliminating bigotry from the world. We're all here on this planet. No one's better than anyone else. We're all good if we're treated well.
Are you saying that perhaps jazz, there's some prejudice that, and racial prejudice that wears off on jazz? That's
yeah, the
really?
Corporations are afraid to sell jazz because they might turn off a lot of white bigots. It's so old-fashioned.
Wow.
It's tragic. It's tragic. They should leave it alone. If something's good, it's good. If it isn't good, you don't have to buy it. But if it's good, why not buy it?
Well, how did you get turned on to jazz? You came from an Italian-American background. I mean, when did you fall in love with it?
Well, I just loved it. Growing up, my brother was a wonderful singer. He sang in the Metropolitan Opera when he was 14. But he started falling in love with jazz, and I couldn't believe it, because he just loved the way the jazz artists lived and the way that they acted, and they're happy people. And I was always impressed with my oldest brother, and I imitated him. And to this day, I was very influenced by him. He was an opera singer, but I loved the way he sang. So he was a big influence in my life.
What did your parents think of this? You boys getting into jazz?
Well, of course, they were unhappy about my brother because he was really a promising singer in the Metropolitan Opera. He sang children's parts in the opera. But he just strayed away from it and got into jazz, and of course he was unhappy with that. But everything works out for the best in the long run.
Okay. I'd like another question from you folks, please. The gentleman there, thanks.
Thank you for coming up here. Yamaguchi, associate member. I'm a big fan of your CDs and DVDs and everything. I just want to know, I guess you have more recording with a big band as compared to the small group of instruments. Do you have any particular ideas or like or dislike or fit or doesn't fit feeling about this? And the second question is, would you tell us a little about the procedures of recording Duets II albums? I have DVDs and CDs, and we can see how you perform with a partner in the Duet II. But it doesn't tell much about how the procedure of the recording, how many times you rehearsed, or how many days, or how long it took to the recording. The DVD is very interesting to have some insights about your collaboration with the partners, but that doesn't tell much about the procedures to get to that point. Would you tell us about that a little bit? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, the first question, I recorded with many large orchestras, and then I just found out from performing that the more intimate, the more honest it became, and more flexible, more realistic. And lately I just record with my quartet, and the magnificent artists, each one guitar and piano and bass and drums. And they make me sound very, very honest, and it's you don't have to wait for a full orchestra to conduct, and so I like it much better. I like to work intimately now. What's the second question?
How did the duets, come about in that, how many takes did you have to do?
I see.
The actual procedure of recording those albums.
Well, what happened is what we did, instead of the artist coming to me, we went to their country, wherever they lived. With Amy Winehouse, we recorded in London. With Lady Gaga, we recorded in Los Angeles. In Italy, we recorded in Italy, in Spain. We went to the different artists in the different countries and recorded that way. And it became a very great experience. It's all on film. and it was recorded that way. And it was very gratifying that both albums became million-selling albums. And it caught on, and I'm very happy about it.
I think you were, with respect, you were perhaps the oldest artist to ever score. I think you got #1 on the Billboard chart. I mean, if memory serves. I mean,
that's true. Yeah,
it's amazing, right? And you
Right.
got a whole new audience, right? A whole new generation.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I think that's good. Right?
No, it's fun. I love, I think I told you earlier before we recorded that 17 years ago, I could have retired, and I'm so interested in what I do. I love to entertain people and make them feel good. That's what I love. And it keeps me alive and it keeps me in shape. I think it's unfortunate that some people can't stand their work and it's hard for them, and then they retire and they just don't do anything, and they shorten their life. I'm a big fan of Hokusai, the great Japanese artist. And when he was 102, he says, "I'm just learning how to paint." And I like that. I like to stay alive. I don't like to retire.
And I think earlier on, you mentioned when we were talking before that there's not a song you recorded you don't like. You're proud of everything you did, right?
Yeah. No, if it's not an intelligent song, I do not like artists that look down at the audience and consider them ignorant, so don't give them anything good. I think it's terrible. I respect the audience so much that I give them the best intelligent songs that I could think of for them, and it works. The audience is very intelligent as a group, as a large group. It's very intelligent.
Do you ever write songs yourself?
I tried once.
Yeah?
I wrote a letter for my wonderful wife. Came out pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's not as good as Cole Porter.
Tough act to beat, yeah.
Right.
And you're not just playing Japan. You're going to Shanghai and Malaysia as well. You're doing how many dates?
I travel all over the world. I think we're doing 4 or 5 dates
Yeah.
in the Far East here. Yes.
Do you find that the audiences here, I mean, Japan is known for having a very loyal jazz fan base. Do you find that the audiences in Asia are, how shall I say it, dedicated or well-educated or appreciative more so than perhaps in other parts of the world?
What's the jazz club here? What's the
The
name?
Blue Note.
The Blue Note.
Yeah.
I opened it. I was the first artist in there, and I love that the intimacy. It's different from a concert hall, In the Blue Note, the people are all enthusiastic and they respond, and it's a lot of fun. And that's the whole idea of jazz, is for people to feel good and walk out feeling good about things.
There's a gentleman with a question. I beg your pardon? Yeah, we're very, it's a broad church here. We take questions from anybody,
Mitsuya Goto. I'm an old associate member, now life member of this club, and formerly with Nissan Motor Company. In the immediate post-war years, there was a very popular Japanese song called Yurakucho de Aimashou. Meet me in Yurakucho, which is right here. And I want you to learn it while you are here, okay?
I'd like to learn it.
And I have one request.
Yes.
I brought with me to this press conference an old Japanese friend of mine, Tetsuya Komori, who was way back general manager in San Francisco of Marubeni Corporation. And we used to go to the same biannual conference in the West Coast called the Professional Committee meeting of the Japan-California Association, and which was started by Akio Morita of Sony. But anyway, in the heights of the Silicon Valley issues, and after dinner, he used to sing "I Left My Heart in San Francisco." If I pass around a collection plate, would you sing it at the end of this press conference?
No, you have to pay me.
I thought he was going to ask you to sing Yorakucho de Aimasyo, which would be interesting, or you left your heart in Yorakucho, right?
No, I left it in one city.
Yeah, one's enough, yeah.
One's enough city.
I guess, right. Well, it's been wonderful.
Thank you. It has been wonderful.
It's great.
Thank you.
It's a privilege for us.
I'm very honored that you came this afternoon.
Let's
Thank
have a
you
big
very
hand
much.
for Tony. Come on, folks. Come on. Thank you. Maximum respect. All right. And as is our custom here, we are giving you a one-year membership in this organization.
Thank
so
you.
please come to Yorakucho and, well, leave happy memories here, okay? Because thank you so much. All right.